Night round. So after bedtime snack, that's the last known blood sugar. We do check them again. Typically they've gotten ready for bed, and you're assigned a night to go, and there's always a team leader, a night round leader, and you might have a couple of cabins, not just your own pink or green or stars, and you might have 2 colors. Anyways, so every camper gets their blood sugars checked at night. So that's what we're preparing for. So we have supplies where you kind of, I said the other, gown up or suit up or put on your supply belt. So it's like either an apron or a what's that called? A fanny pack or something, where you have blood sugar checks, you have lancets, cotton swabs, all that stuff, meters, strips, a night lamp because it is dark and the kids are asleep. And we go in and we get a blood sugar on each and every camper or diabetic and counselor or stuff like that. If they're on a sensor or like a Dexcom or a CGM of sorts, we can get that value. We don't have to get a finger stick on them. And then we treat for lows and highs. So typically the lows, if it's a low, you'll get juices, snacks and stuff, and you report that back to your team lead. And if it's a high, then they get, that would be discussed of whether or not they need insulin. They might have to go down to MASH or something and get dosed. After that, it's up to your team leader whether or not rechecks need to happen, and then you're either dismissed to go back and go to bed, or nope, we gotta do another second round on these kids. We gotta recheck them. So that's kind of the gist of it.
We have a nighttime protocol of what we give depending on the blood sugar. There's kind of an algorithm where if they're this, they get this, if they're this, they get that. The whole idea is we don't leave them alone, well, we never leave them alone, unfortunately or fortunately, I guess, until their blood sugars are safe and stable. Last year was the first year we started using CGMs. This year, again, we're gonna be using CGMs, which if they're on a continuous glucose monitor, that's like the best case scenario, because not only do you get a blood sugar in an hour, you get trend graphs, so you have a good idea of what they've been doing, but where are they going. So sometimes they could have a blood sugar of, let's say, 120, but they've got 2 trend arrows going down. It's probably not something I'm gonna leave alone if they've got 2 trend arrows going down. If they've got the 2 pumps that talk to one another, the Tandem X2 with basal IQ, that's a big mouthful, or the Medtronic 670, which is the hybrid closed loop.
Got 2 demos of both.
Yes, 2 demos, no, bring it out. With the Tandem X2, as the sensor's sensing they're going down, before they reach 80, the pump will automatically suspend insulin. And then as their basal rate, or as their blood sugar comes back up, the pump will automatically go back on. And so what you will see is these long red lines for a period of time. She can show you that they're suspended.
It was shut off,
Yeah.
and now I'm back on because there's other signs, or it'll say there's a red little S for suspend, but I'm not suspending anymore. But yeah, that was a period of time where I had too much insulin on board, and my blood sugar was dropping. It was right before lunch, and I was like, ooh, I had my breakfast late. So, but that's kind of what we're talking about is the trend going up, or going down, or nice.
Which is nice. With a blood sugar test, it's a point in time test, and it's like you're in a dark room, you turn the light off, the light went right off. Whereas with a sensor, the light's on and it's completely on, so you can see trends and patterns that can make better decisions. You have the 670. You jump right in there.
Show the class.
Yeah, show the class.
Yeah.
Number trend arrow. That's if you're in auto mode. If
Right.
you're not in auto mode, it'll show like what she had with the
Yeah.
chart, the graph.
Is there glucose right now?
Yeah.
160.
So, and this one has pink dots, which are bolus increments that it calculates for you every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, sensor
And
trends every
The
time.
little red blood drops are where I've entered blood sugars.
Oh.
The fork and the knife are where I entered carbs for food. Yeah.
So what's nice about the 670, it's that hybrid closed loop, so it's gonna manipulate the basal rate automatically. So the theory is that people don't go low, because if the sensor is sensing that their blood sugars are low, it's gonna give no basal whatsoever for a period of time. Doesn't do it forever. There are some safety parameters built in that if they're without basal rate for a period of time, the pump basically says, this isn't really good. I need a blood sugar to make sure you're okay, to keep you in auto mode. At least in my world, I like people to be in auto mode as much as possible if they have the technology. And then they may have a period of time where their blood sugar goes up, where it may be bolusing quite a bit. Big thing with the 670 is trusting the pump, that the pump will take care of them. Tandem will eventually have that, we're hoping this year it'll be Control IQ. So again, if they have a sensor either hooked up to their phone or an actual sensor, hopefully what their counselors have done is ask them to put the transmitter maybe out on the bed, tape it, or someplace where you have access, where you don't have to go rooting around. to find it.
I was
So
gonna say,
it's
ask
so
about that, no,
Yeah.
because if it's attached to them, like
Yeah.
mine is on my pump and my phone.
Then you have to go rooting
You
around
go
for it.
rooting around for it, so I was gonna say, if you're in a boys team or girls team, vice versa, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I feel really comfortable, just go to your team lead and say, or somebody on your team and say, can you maybe grab, same gender, and just say like, hey, I don't feel really comfortable about doing that, or we had a question in the other group, what if I just can't find it? I'm like, well, it's up to your team lead again, I'm like, let's just get a
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
on
So
it,
don't
you
feel
know,
overwhelmed, like your job is to check
Get
blood
blood
sugars,
sugars.
report them back to your team lead,
leader,
and
and
as
they
you get
make
more
it.
comfortable, you can start making suggestions, like I think we need to do like blank,
their blood sugar was 44.
and then you
I
guys will
gave
make a
them
decision
the
together.
Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
so that's the big fear is the lows,
Right.
that's the immediate treat right there. So if it's a low blood sugar, you'll hear like the
Yeah.
snaps.
Or
pops
if they're
in there.
persistently low, below 50, we have that low dose glucagon protocol, which works really nice. If you've done several treatments and that person is saying, oh my God, if you give me something else, it's in the middle of the night, I'm gonna get sick.
Yeah.
Then we have the low dose glucagon protocol. I'll tell you in all honesty, you'll never be afraid of a low again after camp.
Yeah.
Never. But when in doubt, always ask your team leader. Times when they probably should go to MASH would be if their blood sugars are above 300 and they're running ketones. Typically, they need to be watched a little bit more. They need hydration, they need insulin. If they have an insulin pump, they probably need a site change, which doing it at 3 o'clock in the morning is never fun, but has to be done. Typically, what we will do is bring them down. We will calculate a dose and give it by injection to get them out of kind of DKA, and we have a protocol on how much we add depending on where their ketones are, and then do a site change, and then really literally watch them. We watch them until they're stable. Sometimes you can get done night rounds relatively quickly, and you're sent to bed, and other times you're up all night. But that will be a team leader decision. And I'm telling you, right now, if somebody says to you, not that I don't need you, but that we're okay, you can go to bed, don't argue, go to bed. Honestly, don't argue, go to bed. We got a lot of people saying, no, I'll stay up, and it's like, no, go to bed. You're no good to anybody if
We
you're
need
so
to,
exhausted.
whatever it is the
Your
next
next
day.
Yeah.
Or
So
the
go
day
to bed.
after.
And do a whoop whoop. I mean, there have been a few times when Ashley's a team leader, I was able to go to bed at 3, and I thought, my God, well, I'm gonna get like a couple hours worth of sleep. This is really great. We do have sometimes some issues with bedwetting, especially with the little kids. When they check in, if they do have an issue with bedwetting or they are wearing some kind of a diaper, that's something that the parent will discuss with you. And probably that's a good idea to have a plan with your counselor and with your team on how you're gonna address that. We try not to make a big deal. We do go around and do cabin checks. And very quietly, if we have wet bedding, take it, wash it, bring it back. But that's obviously embarrassing for everything, but oftentimes with the little kids, if their sugars are high, and no offense to little kids, but they'll wait till the very last minute and then they're like running to the bathroom. So again, we try not to make bedwetting a big issue, but that would be something that if you have a child on your team that has an issue, that you would wanna come up with a plan.
Any questions? We get a lot of this at camp. It'll be that first thing again, but it
Probably
usually
end up
not
doing
long.
2 nights.
Oh,
I think.
2 nights, yeah.
I don't know.
By that
I
second,
don't
yeah.
know. Typically, it's 2 nights, but, and then there'll be a night on call MASH team, that will be in the MASH area, for situations where people have to come down to MASH. So there'll always be the people that are doing night rounds and then somebody in MASH. Usually 3 people.
So it's fun.
Kenny, enjoy it.
Different says, I know.
It'll be real fun. It depends on who you night round with.
This is true.
I like to have fun. No offense. I like to have fun. So.
We need to sign some of your guys'.